Did you see the Horde version of the time skip with a marriage between two elves? No, I didn't. I know the elves you're talking about because I've heard it mentioned, but I'm gonna need some kind of link to this because this is really good. This would be further proof of the time skip, right? Let's take a look at this. Oh, so this is in game. This is great. Here we go. So this is between Lorthemar. So this is like some proper spoiler bot territory happening here, just so you know. This is some proper spoiler stuff, but it does seem to back up the idea of the 500-year, 700-year time skip that we're getting apparently in Dragonflight. So this is between Lorthemar Theron and first Arcanist Thalyssra, a couple who kind of got together in short stories in between BFA and Shadowlands, right? Several years have passed quietly since our forces returned from the shadow. Wait, shall I do the standard Lorthemar voice, or shall I do the 8.2 Lorthemar voice? You remember the Lorthemar voice that was on the alpha in 8.2? The Waluigi voice? Several years have passed quietly since our forces returned from the Shadowlands. Oh, so they're the exact same words. Well, shit, man. I think this confirms the time skip, right? This confirms the time skip. It's the exact same words. Is this legit? Is this real? So this is the Horde version of it. Holy shit. I think it's happening. I think it's a thing. Wow. It's official. Wowee. I'll do his standard voice. Keep it up to date, right? Several years have passed quietly since our forces returned from the Shadowlands. But it seems that quiet is at an end now, my love. Indeed, we were fortunate to have even a brief respite from our usual perils and tribulations. Several years? I'm sorry, dude. Several years of doing fuck all and just like chilling out in marital bliss? That is not a brief respite. In the World of Warcraft, if we've just had several years where nothing fucking happens, they have been chilling the fuck out. Lorthemar is not immortal. Blood elves are not immortal. Yeah, in elf time, I guess. They're not immortal, are they? No. Good. Phew. Okay. I didn't want a Potter Gauge tweeting about me. Otherwise, you might have come up with an excuse to refuse my proposal. Your proposal? I'm quite certain it was I who begged for your hand in marriage. Oh, wait. Sorry, I've done it wrong. Otherwise, you might have come up with an excuse to refuse my proposal. Your proposal? I'm quite certain it was I who begged for your hand in marriage, Thalyssra. Theron, you are such a creature of duty that you would have delayed our wedding over a crooked painting in Silvermoon. There we know. Officially, there are now no crooked paintings in Silvermoon. Because otherwise they wouldn't have got married. This is some world building that we have been managed to pick up from this conversation. How fortunate I am that both our kingdoms witnessed our vows, else you might try to deny that we ever exchanged them. Deny the happiest moment of my life? Never. Whether under the light of the sun or the rays of the moon, I will love you for all my days, Thalyssra. Well, isn't that lovely? Now, here's two important things about this. Two important things that we're going to see happen from this. One, I think the time skip at this stage is pretty much confirmed. This is still alpha, so I would still take it with a big pinch of salt. But the fact that two conversations for Horde and Alliance have now appeared, we don't know if this is a time skip, you know, at the beginning of the expansion or if it comes a bit later, but I think it's fair to assume it's going to come at the beginning. I would say in some form or another, which we don't quite know yet, the time skip is official, right? Would you agree with that? I think that's fair to say. I think there is officially a time skip of several years. Now, here's the thing. Several years is incredibly vague. I think if we are going to have a time skip in WoW, we need to know exactly how fucking long it's been. I feel like this is not a player base which is going to be okay with a vague time skip. I think if there's a time skip, there needs to be an exact fucking number. Like, how long was the time skip? It says 7 right there. There'll be a book out during pre-patch to explain it. Well, here's the thing. There will be a book out in pre-patch. Absolutely. So maybe that will explain it. Maybe that will show the wedding happening. But this is a community that is not going to be okay with a vague time skip. And unless they specify it in the game or the book, that's going to be something that causes a lot of problems. I will be furious if they don't give the exact amount of time. Well, I agree. I genuinely, completely agree. I think we need to know that kind of thing. But here's the other thing, and this is something I've already seen on Twitter. I've already seen this on Twitter, and it's fucking delicious and so fucking predictable, okay? Now, you know that the idea of a time skip is incredibly popular with a lot of this community, okay? I think if you put it to a poll and you're like, do you want there to be a time skip after Shadowlands? People would overwhelmingly vote yes. Not me personally, whatever. But if they do something good with it, awesome. Why not? You know, that's great. A lot of people will be very in favor of a time skip. And those exact same people right now, when they find out that Lorthemar and Thalyssra are married, they're going to be like, oh, I wish we could have seen that in game. What a shame that something so important happened and we didn't even get to see it in game. I mean, come on, Blizz. Come on, Blizz. It's me, those people and me. Well, this is the point. Guys, you're going to have to accept you wanted a time skip, okay? You guys wanted a fucking time skip. You're going to have to accept that in the event of a time skip, there's going to be some very important shit that happens outside of the game, which is what you fuckers have been saying shouldn't happen for the last, 10 years. For the last 10 fucking years, and particularly in the last 2 years, all of the discourse has been like, I think it's fucking stupid when really important events happen outside of the game and you have to read a book to understand them. You asked for the time skip. You asked for this. You asked for it! And you're going to have to accept there's a lot of fucking shit that's going to have happened that you won't see, and you're going to have to find a way of finding out what it is. This is not the same. Well, you tell that to the people complaining that we haven't seen this wedding in game, because I can guarantee you there's going to be fucking loads of them. I bet you Portagage has already fucking mentioned it. I bet you Portagage has already gone, shame we didn't see this in game, right? No shit on Portagage. I love Portagage. Portagage is absolutely one of my ways that I keep up with all the stuff that I don't mention in the game, which I don't notice in the game, okay? But I can guarantee Portagage has already said it's a shame. No shit on Portagage. I'm a big fan. Look, I follow. I'm a big fan. I really enjoy their tweets. I wish we could actually see the wedding. Well, you wanted the fucking time skip. Guys, if you wanted a time skip and you asked for a time skip and you were hoping for a time skip, you are not allowed to complain about cool shit that happened in the time skip that you haven't seen. And that wasn't in game. The whole stock Blizzard complaint of, I think it's so shit that so much happens outside of game and you have to use other media to find out what happened outside of the game. That is null and void now that we've had a time skip. Absolutely null and void. Completely null. You cannot complain that shit isn't in the game or wasn't shown in the game, and that stuff has happened not in the game in a time skip. You can't complain about it. It's fine, they'll just put it in the book. Well, they probably will. Yeah, and you know what? That's what you've got to do, because you can't show it in game when it happened in the time skip, can you? You can show things that happened in a time skip in game. What's the point of having a time skip if you show everything that happened in flashback? Yeah, we're gonna have a time skip, but all the stuff that happened in the time skip, we're gonna show anyway in a flashback. So why have the fucking time skip then? You can surely find cryptic information through an item you can find inside the barbershop. Yeah, well, or you can have characters talking about the thing that happened, right? Which is exactly what's happening here. But you're not gonna see it. That's the thing. Obviously you can have mention of it in the game, but I don't want anyone fucking complaining that all this cool shit that happens in the time skip isn't in the fucking game. I'm not having anyone complaining about that. No way. I'm not fucking having it. I can see it now. I can see it now. All you motherfuckers who wanted a time skip and were excited about the idea of a time skip, and now you're all going to be like, I think it's fucking disgusting. All this really cool shit has happened that Blizz never even showed in the game. Such fucking lazy story. I tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. It's that fucking Steve Danusa. It's that fucking Steve Danusa and his trans storytelling. His trans-platform storytelling. That's what it is. So like, yeah, you know, I've already had to like deal with people for the last 2 years going, oh, I think it's disgusting that, you know, you have to read a book to understand what's going on in Shadowlands. And I go, why? What book? What book do you have to read to understand what's going in Shadowlands? And then they go, oh, well, you know, war crimes. I've already had to be dealing with that fucking argument for the last 2 years. Now I'm gonna have to deal with all the exact same people who wanted a time skip and who asked for a time skip, being upset that they didn't see the stuff in game that happened in the time skip. But it is very interesting that this time skip is now like official, right? Still weird that there's only 2 references to it in the entire game. You know, like what have they been doing in the last several years? To make heads explode, we were unconscious for several years, and then we woke. Oh, a woke time skip. We were all busy choosing our pronouns. Only 2 references so far. Yeah, but we've played through multiple zones in the game now. You know. And I maybe there'd be more. I don't know. I kind of expect there to be more difference in various things after several years. I don't know. I expect the graphics to be a bit fucking better. Alex Strauza said in Dragonflight, the cinematic, that the world was healing. Well, the world has technically been healing ever since the end of BFA, so that doesn't really mean much. I mean, it does. Okay, so the worst case scenario, obviously, is that the time skip is basically only happening to fast forward Anduin and Sylvanas back into the game. For sure. But also, when does this time skip happen? Does this time skip happen on like the day that Dragonflight goes live? Does it happen in the pre-patch? Like, when does my character become unspecified several years older? Do I get more things in my weekly vault? Do all my auction houses expire? Does any open mail disappear? Like, what's going on here? You reckon it'll be a pre-patch thing? Yeah, me too. But, I mean, it's got to be a bigger deal than just 2 conversations, one in Orgrimmar and one in Stormwind, right? They've got to kind of make a little bit more of a deal of it than that. And I've got the feeling, if they do, it's going to be incredibly fucking clunky, because you'll just be walking around, like, Orgrimmar or whatever, and you'll just come across all these conversations of known characters, and they'll be going, "Goh, what a wild few years, eh? What a wild several years we just had. It's all been pretty quiet, hasn't it, for several years? Not much has happened, really." When you consider, you know, if each expansion has been 1 year, then basically everything from Wrath to now has happened in the last 7 years. Like, you had several years where it was like, we beat the Lich-Kin, then the Cataclysm happened, we made the Dragon Soul, killed Deathwing, then we discovered Pandaria. All our Pandarian friends have been here for less than several years, you know, and we defeated Garrosh in the Siege of Orgrimmar. Rathian came along and said hello, hi, all that friendship happened. Anduin got crushed by a big bell, he's feeling a lot better now. Oh shit, then we went to Draenor. Do you remember that? Alternate Draenor, holy fuck, got all those cool tier sets from the second raid. Something else happened as well. Oh shit, then the biggest Legion invasion happened of all time. That was wild, absolutely crazy. Beat that off after a year, got into Argus, kind of destroyed that, got the big sword in the world. That caused like the biggest war we've ever had. Do you remember? We burned down the tree, that huge sword is in the ground now. Then we went to the Shadowlands. Oh, Saurfang died, that was very sad. We had a whole like rebellion again in the Horde for the second time in like 3 years. Then we like went to actual literal hell and discovered that kind of all of our ideas and religion's ideas of what the afterlife was like was completely untrue. Met the jailer, he was shit. Then we like stopped the jailer, wiping out all of time and space and stuff, and that was a wild several years. And in the exact same time frame since, not much really, just chilling out really. I mean, it's been a brief respite. A brief respite. But shouldn't, like, Dragonflight be the respite? You know? Shouldn't Dragonflight be that respite? It's like, oh, there's no world-ending threat right now. We're just exploring the Dragon Isles and sorting stuff out at a local level. That's what I thought Dragonflight was supposed to be. I thought Dragonflight was that respite. J-Girl, thank you very much for the 4 months. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. How many years have passed between Vanilla and Shadowlands? Well, like 9 in-game, which is wild. Fucking wild. What if they did a Warbringer style thing for every year? Oh, God. No. What, like a year in review? No. Look, in Britain we say respite. In America you say respite. Okay, that's just how it goes. I'm not apologizing for that. Sorry. A Warcraft rewind. And Will Smith's like, oh, no thanks. Fucking Bellylar comes along like. If they're doing this, I would really like the Taliesin refugees to have actual homes rather than tents sleeping in the streets. Well, exactly. Well, this is the thing. I kind of feel like they're really inviting more trouble than it's worth to do a time skip, right? Because there's so much shit you have to sort out if you're doing a time skip, because you can't just do it in real time. Yeah, are we saying those Night Elf refugees have been, like, just living in the docks for the last several years? It's kind of wild, right? What state is Lordaeron in now? You know, that's got to be different. Like, you can't have a time skip and not look at these kind of things. Like, you can get away with ignoring them a little bit if you're doing everything in real time, right? But if you have a time skip, you have to actually do something. Tally, do you truly think that part of this time skip is to reintroduce Sylvanas Anduin back? Not immediately, no. But at the end of the day, yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be easier to bring Anduin back like towards the end of the expansion or early next expansion if you've had this time skip, right? And it's like, I've been away for a very long time. I'm so much older and wiser now. You know, I'm like a proper in his 20s, like troubled but noble and strong king. I've gone through a lot. A problem that would be avoided if they just treated the time passing in game in real time rather than this stupid 1 year per expansion thing. Like, it's like we play the game in real time, have past time in the game in real time, right? It makes sense. We helped fix Lordaeron, I thought. Exactly. And the very first seeds of the Forsaken remaking their home in Lordaeron were planted in 925. But now, if it's been several years, I would expect them to be quite further along on that path, honestly. 1 day in game is 1 day IRL. No, it's not, though. It's not. I mean, it is. Yes, you're right. But we're stuck with this very stupid thing of, like, one expansion is like a year long. It's like, no, it's not. Unless, like, an Azeroth year is, like, 800 days. Time works differently in the Shadowlands. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. What are the Night Elves up to now, right? They wouldn't have done nothing for several years. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of characters just being like, you know, like, no one wants Tyrande just to be like, well, for the last 7 years, we've just been cleaning up Darkshore. It's like, really? For several years? Seriously? I just don't know I believe it, honestly. It's kind of weird to me, honestly. There is a reason that the Hearthstone is called Time Walker. The pre-patch will have something to do with the Bronze Dragonflight taking us to the future. To the future? Oh, I don't think it's anything to do with the Bronze Dragonflight taking us to the future, because then Lorthemar and Thalyssra would be like, wow, can't believe we missed several years because the Bronze Dragonflight took us to the future. Like, clearly time is just meant to have been passing, and it's just passed, you know, and we've just had this skip. But they wouldn't know. Just us, just the player character. I just don't really see the point in that. I just don't see the point. I mean, look, maybe there's going to be some really cool, important story reason, but that's a cool, important story reason certainly isn't there yet, you know? Like, so far, the entire purpose of this time skip is so that Lorthemar and Thalyssra got married. But they could have done that anyway without a time skip. It's just a simple time skip, probably, not that deep. But you can't say it's not that deep because it automatically introduces a whole bunch of very important questions. Because then anything that hasn't moved on, you know, anything that is the same as it was at the end of Shadowlands, it's perfectly reasonable to ask in that situation, Why haven't they done anything in several years? When the game is going in real time, you can get away with stuff kind of staying as it is for a bit and then getting updated a little bit later. But if you're saying, like, several years have passed, you go like, okay, so what's happened with Darkshore? What's happened with Lordaeron? What's happened with the refugees? What's happened with Stormwind? Like, what changes has Taliesin made in Stormwind? Like, what about these characters? They were on, like, the brink of something important at the end of Shadowbringers. They wouldn't have sat on that for several years, right? Do you think there's any chance that Lordaeron or the new Night Elf home will be a surprise reveal at launch? I find it highly unlikely. But not impossible, I guess. I mean, nothing's impossible, but highly unlikely. To be fair, the world has been in the Cataclysm for like 6 years in-game. Yeah, but like I say, when it's been in real time, you can get away with things not like moving on in huge leaps instantly, right? In real time, you can get away with, it took us a couple of years to fix the kind of like the park district in Stormwind and rebuild that with the nice fountains and stuff. But we've done it now, little bit by little bit. We're rebuilding and we're doing it in real time, so it's fine. But if you skip, then the question is, like, why hasn't this been fixed in several years? And, like, if you didn't intend to move any of these things onward, why did you do a skip? Right? Yeah, there has to be a meaningful change to a lot of different things to justify a time skip. Which is why it's easier to do like a 50-year time skip than several years. Because several years, all those things which were happening at the end of Shadowbringers are still tangible. You know? Like something that started or was in motion at the end of Shadowbringers, you can reference back to that after several years. You'll be like, oh, what happened with that thing? Like, that's why a 50-year skip is so much fucking easier, because you can just make huge, broad, sweeping changes with a 50-year time skip. But, like, several years is so difficult, and it introduces so many potential problems and, like, unsatisfactions and stuff like that. Did I say Shadowbringers? You know what I meant. Yeah, especially if there was no world-ending threat which to distract from all the repairing and other kind of like but you know, it certainly appears on the alpha that the world doesn't seem to have undergone any major changes, to be honest. Like, these two getting married is the biggest single change that we've seen so far. WoW is copying Final Fantasy with its ARR time skip. No, it's not, because ARR wiped out the entire like game and started again, and that's what it was all about. And they made a huge deal of it, and it was a major plot point. It wasn't just some random fucking reference. Is the sword still there? Yeah, of course the sword's still there. And that's what I mean. Everything is still in place. Everything's still happening. The refugees are still there. Like, all the characters in the towns and what have you are in the exact same point they were at the end of Shadowbringers. Like, there's, like, I don't know, man. I just feel like there should be a little bit, unless there's something we haven't seen that's going to be surprising us or whatever, I don't really see the point in this time skip right now. They could hide it like 925. I mean, you're talking about an entire world having moved on several years, which is a bit more than like a scenario using some like specific scenario maps, right? You know? Like, you're talking about the whole world has gone on. I believe the time skip is now like official. I think I don't know the exact details of it and how it's going to work, but I feel like with this dialogue being in the Horde, I think like that's genuinely. I think we have to take this very seriously, and I think we have to assume it is a thing until we know better. I think the evidence, like the fact that this conversation is on Horde side as well now and uses the exact same wording, I think it totally confirms it. Yeah, totally. But I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm not seeing a time skip. I've been told that a time skip has happened, and I kind of feel like if a time skip really has happened, I should have been able to notice it without anyone telling me, really, to be perfectly honest. You know? Like, you should go, oh, what's happened? Something's different. What's going on here? What's happened? Like, I shouldn't need, like, basically what I'm saying is, if a time skip of several years has happened, I shouldn't need characters in game to tell me. I should fucking notice. What if it's for 10.1? I mean, it could be. It certainly could be, but even then, like, if we're getting this dialogue, then the suggestion is that you are seeing this dialogue in the phase of the time skip having happened. So what's happened? What has happened? You know, why? Like, and doing a time skip in the middle of an expansion would be so much weirder than doing it at the beginning of expansion as well. Remember when they revealed Dragonflight and you said they felt like there's a box feature missing? Maybe a war revamp is secretly coming. I mean, maybe, but I don't know, man. If the time skip is planned for 10.1, I'm still seeing all the same problems. I'm still seeing all the same problems that are there. Like, every problem I just raised about it is still applicable for if it's in 10.1. They could just not have the redesigns done yet. Well, I mean, it would seem like a pretty major thing. It would seem like a pretty major fucking difference that isn't in the game yet. It just seems very weird to me. And look, I'm going to give the Blizzard the benefit of the doubt, right? Dragonflight's looking great so far. So, you know, they've got the benefit of the doubt from me. And I'm never going to judge something until it's actually done and in the game. And I'm willing to believe that there will be a good reason for it. And I'm willing to believe that, you know, it will be kind of portrayed really well. But at the moment, just having like 4 characters, 2 in each city, just mention that there's been a time skip of several years without like literally anything else to show for it is kind of weird. Like, if you're saying there's been a time skip of several years, you can't really, like, just little things like you can't really get away with the orphans running around Stormwind anymore being the same kids, right? You can't really get away with that. Just shit like that, just little stuff like that. And for me, it's just inviting far more finicky problems and details than it's worth. Yeah, you rename the kids NPCs. Exactly, but you would have to, right? Sounds like a good time for Eastern Kingdom's Candor revamp. It ain't happening, dudes. It ain't happening. That is definitely not happening. Like, they are revamping Eastern Kingdom's Calendar, but like 1 or 2 zones at a time, you know, as and when. There's not a huge revamp coming. I will happily eat shit if I'm wrong on that. It will be the tastiest shit I've ever eaten. But I don't think it's happening.